What is up, guys? It is AJ. On today's video, we are talking about ex-UFC fighter Phil Baroni, who just murdered his girlfriend in Mexico. This is an extremely tragic case. He did admit to authorities that he did it, and he told his side of the story. He claimed that the two were in a serious argument where his girlfriend admitted to cheating on him. He then told her go shower, in which she refused. So he forced her into the shower where she banged her head twice. She then was unable to get out of the tub, so he brought her to the bedroom. She complained about being cold. He wrapped her in blankets, and then he said he went out and got beer and cigarettes due to her request. She had told him to do such a thing. He came back, assumed she was asleep, later found out she was dead. Problem lies. Yes, he did admit this to authorities. They said that there was bruising and marks around her face and entire body. Pictures of Phil Baroni's hands, which looked to be a bit red, as if there were some punches thrown. It's looking like he may have beat her to death after she admitted to cheating on him. Now, Phil Baroni is a longtime veteran of mixed martial arts that's fought all around the world, a true journeyman fighter who's definitely taken some damage. Was knocked out 7 times as a professional MMA fighter. Definitely has been hit in the head a ton. And Josh Barnett, longtime MMA veteran, released a statement that the last time he had seen Baroni at a pro wrestling event, he was erratic and emotional, and he's claiming that it was CTE, which caused him probably to murder his girlfriend. That's definitely, I believe, a viable claim alongside of marijuana and alcohol, which he admitted to using both that same day, with some CTE. And let's be honest, you look at Phil Baroni throughout his entire career, he always was one of those crazy emotional guys that didn't play around. He isn't a dude that you go out with a, drinking buddy and, go up to Phil at the bar and start talking smack to him, joking around. He's not going to take that shit. I could see him knocking out somebody that's probably just playing around with him. There's a video online of him like flirting with this guy's girlfriend who was a fan that was right in front of him, and he's like touching all over her. Phil Baroni's that type of guy, not extremely respectful to everybody. He's going to do what he pleases. Now, he was a fan-friendly fighter. People loved his style on the come-up. But damn, the tragic end is here. I believe it's guilty, without a doubt, that he did kill her. He admitted to doing such a thing. But now it's more about what is the charge looking like. Is he going to get murder 1, murder 2, manslaughter? I feel like they're in Mexico, so I don't know the exact penal system he'll be put in, but I could see him doing 30 years to life for this. And he's definitely guilty of killing her. We now talk about the why. She did cheat on him, sure, but that doesn't mean you fucking beat her to death. He had CTE from fighting, sure, but it's an excuse. At the end of the day, he chose to step in the cage and fight. I still don't think it gives any bypass to fucking kill somebody. It's impossible to say such a thing. Drugs, alcohol, doesn't matter. You choose to ingest those substances, and now you're fucked up. You kill your girlfriend. You're going to face the most serious repercussions, which I do believe could be life in prison for Phil Baroni. I was digging into Phil, and when you look at his past, he was erratic. He was one of those guys that was always kind of tight-wound, seemed funny and jokey, but if you give him back that same energy that he puts on you, he seems like the dude that'll snap. He's not a guy I'm going out drinking with. You look at some fighters like a Max Holloway. You know he's a jokey guy, fun-loving. He's not going to go beat somebody up for no reason. Mixed martial arts is a very interesting space. Combat sports as a whole, because you have pure martial artists, you just have good guys that love combat sports, and then you have the guys that are a little bit loose with some screws up top that really the fight game is preventing them from doing serious crimes elsewhere. Phil Baroni in his late 40s now, it hit that final snap. And let's also talk, Phil Baroni's a guy that definitely also maybe abuse the steroids a bit. And I'm not saying that it's roid rage by any means, but I do feel like Phil Baroni as a whole is an extremely intense individual who has been punched in his head tons and tons of times. I would say thousands of times. Has an alcohol problem, it seems, a bit also of a weed thing too, which weed is, normally making people more docile as opposed to more violent. But you're mixing it with alcohol, you're mixing it with CTE, you're mixing it with a guy that just naturally has violent tendencies. It leads to some crazy shit like this where he kills his girlfriend. It's terrible. It's fucking terrible. I think he's getting serious time for this and absolute guilt. it's sad to see someone in the MMA space fallen so far from grace, but maybe the fight game was just holding off, which was the inevitable. That Phil Baroni was a violent guy and then took some serious hits to the head over years, developed a bit of an alcohol problem, and got with a female that was maybe extremely toxic, and boom, shit hits the fan. He ends up killing her. Terrible to see for a guy that was around for a long time. I wish there was some way, he could have been helped previously and his girl could have got away from him, but I just don't think it was possible. Like, there's certain people, and I think that you can only control for so long. You can only keep that explosive tamed for just a little while. He's a wild guy. And you look at interviews, he was talking about knocking out his wrestling coach back in the day. Granted, it was a boxing match between the two, but he knocked him unconscious. This is the Phil Baroni who a fan comes up and jokingly touches him. He comes back and rips him with a heavy body shot. You don't fuck around with Phil Baroni. His girl admitted to cheating on him, which I think for her ended up being the biggest mistake of her life, because Phil Baroni, the loose cannon, let it fucking go. Terrible, terrible, terrible. Expect life in prison. Expect more details coming. But it's just sad to see, man, that somebody fell so far from grace. And I know Phil Baroni never had a great run in MMA. He ended up having a lopsided record at the very end. But early in his UFC run, there was hype around Phil Baroni. I mean, fuck. He's on the cover of that game up there. Holy shit. That's UFC Sudden Impact. And as Phil Baroni's on the cover of that. And now he's a fucking murderer. Crazy, crazy, crazy game. Guys, stay safe out there. Much love. I hope you enjoyed this reaction video. It's a crazy situation. Thank you all so much for watching. Smash the likes. If you're new, subscribe. And I will see you all in the next one. Peace, guys.